Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Monkey Wrench. I'm Kelly, the monkey with the wrench. It's been a few months since I've actually made a video because it's been some health issues with me. Any videos I put up in the last couple 3 months have been pre-recorded from last year. So I want to say thank you to all my new subscribers. They just keep coming even though it's winter time. I appreciate it. It's a beautiful windy day here in Florida. It's about 75 degrees. And I figured that I would see if I could do a little bit of work today. So what we have here is this Honda EU2000 Generator. Customer brought it to me and said he loaned it to his son. His son used it in, quote, a dirty environment, and I guess it had some issues. Then he brought it back. He went to fire it up, the owner, and said it wouldn't start, and he doesn't know anything about it. So what I'm going to do is what I always do. I'm going to start by accessing the carburetor, which will be right in this genital area. I'll take out the screw, take off this cover plate, and let's see if we can access the carburetor. Give it a spray with some some carburetor cleaner, see if she'll fire off, and we'll go from there. The first thing we'll do is just double check. Sometimes the customer has not done something correctly, so I want to make sure this is in the on position. We'll put it on choke. It does have a little bit of fuel in there. I can smell it. It doesn't smell real great, so I don't expect anything. There's no primer on this, so I'm just going to pull it a few times. And we got nothing. So what I'm going to start with is taking this cover off so that we can see inside. By the way, when I'm pulling the cord, I don't feel anything weird. I don't hear anything clunking. It sounds nice and smooth, feels nice and smooth. So hopefully it's not broken on the inside, burned up, exploded, that kind of thing. I'm going to take off the air box. There's no air filter in these most of the time because they're in an enclosed box. And it's a generator, it's not a lawnmower, so it doesn't spray up a bunch of dust and dirt when you're using it. We're going to take that off. Now this is going to be the hole for the back of the box. Goes sideways, then comes forward, then comes back in to go to the front of the carb. So sometimes when you spray it, you can get it up there, and sometimes you can't. So let's just spray it and see if anything happens. All we need is some fumes to go in there. We're in the on position. Usually we'd get a fart or a bark on the third or fourth pull, so we're not getting anything. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is check for spark. By doing it that way, if you've watched my videos before, you know that if I spray some carb spray in there and it barks, it starts for just a second, then we know compression and spark is good. Since we didn't get anything out of it, I'm going to go ahead and check the spark. Now all I've done is turned it around. We're going to take out this cover right here. There's your spark plug. So we're going to take the boot off. I'm going to get my spark tester. I'm going to plug that in. And then we're going to give it a few pulls. I don't think you'll be able to see it, but I will. We got no spark. Now that could be an easy fix, or it could be a real bad day. So let's find out. Let me turn this back around. These generators, all generators, or most generators, have what's called a low oil cutoff switch. And what happens is if you run low on your oil, it'll kill the electric so that you don't run it when it doesn't have any oil in it and burn it up and blow up the motor. So let's just check. There's a little bit of oil on the dipstick. So let's just do it again. Sometimes these things are a pain in the butt to get the right angle on. Of course, it doesn't want to go back in. I try to leave this stuff in the video so that you guys can see the types of things that you'll run into when you're working on a small motor. How sometimes something really stupid will cause you an issue. And in this case, I can't get the dipstick to thread back in properly because I must be at a bad angle. So it starts the thread and then it stops. And it's plastic, so I don't want to cross any threads. And these are the stupid problems that you run into. You have to screw this thing back in, obviously, to run the machine. But you have to screw it in on this particular model just to check the oil. So I'm going to kill the camera and put it in just so I can take it back out. That was fun, and apparently I got to do it a couple of times just to check the oil. Now the reason I didn't trust the reading when I pulled it out the first time is because I've already moved this and shaken it around. The oil could have easily sloshed up on the dipstick. I'm not even going to try and show it to you because this looks like fresh oil. It looks a little bit low, but not by all that much. The oil is so clean and clear that if I tried putting it in front of the camera, you wouldn't be able to see it anyway. I can barely see it. It's in front of my eyes. It looks a little bit low, but not by much. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more. And hopefully that's the problem. Hopefully it's just a tad bit low. Let me go get some oil. Hopefully it's just a tad bit low. And it's enough to have kicked out that sensor, taken away our spark, and not left it low enough to blow up the motor. So I'm only going to put in a little. It's okay if it's over just a little bit. Because when I'm finished, I'll check the oil, and if it's over just a bit, I'll empty some back out. Right now, we're trying to get it on. We're trying to get it high enough that we can get our spark back, if that's the case. If that's not the case, then we got some other issues to deal with. Because we got wiring and fuses and all kinds of stuff in here that might have gone bad. Let me get this damn oil cap back in so you don't have to watch that. Alright, I got the cap back in. I haven't done anything to it. We're on. This is cleared up. Again, I don't think you're going to be able to see it, but I'm going to see if we got our spark back. It looks like it. Yeah, we got our spark back. So let's give it another spray and see if we can even get it to bark. that run for a few minutes off camera. See if the carburetor needs to be cleaned, and I'll be back with you in just a minute. Seems to be running fine. We're getting power. The only thing I could grab there was my little car buffer. Let's take my spark plug checker out. Put that back on. Again, this thing is not kicking up any dust, so I'm not worried about the fact that the air box is open. It's run for about 5 or 6 minutes. I just want to see if it'll start again without any issues. It's on choke right now. That's run. Let's deal with that. It might run on choke, but not run when the choke is on. Turn it back on. And I don't know how old that gas is. Okay, the reason that you saw me pull it a couple of times is because I had left the choke on. As soon as I turned off the choke, it started right up. So the choke is not on. Let's put it back on. There we go. That's running good. Okay. So there is your Honda EU2000. The moral of the story, boys and girls, is that oil cutoff switch is there for a reason. Most engines burn the slightest bit of oil when they're running, and I mean the slightest bit. So whether it's a lawnmower, a snowmobile, a boat motor, whatever, they burn a little bit of oil. Plus, you never know what's going to leak out. And in these enclosed box systems, you can't tell if it's dripping just a little bit of oil somewhere until you see an oil puddle underneath. So they are so sensitive that when it just gets a tad bit low, it will tell that switch to turn off the electricity to the motor so it will not run. And that way, because most of the time you fill up a generator like this and it runs for 3 or 4 hours, and your electricity's on in your camper or in your house after a hurricane, that kind of thing, and you don't think about it until the light goes off, and then you go, oh, I gotta go put gas in it. So if that thing was low on oil and it ran for 30 to 45 minutes, you could score pistons, you could do some serious internal damage. So those cutoff switches are great. The thing is, if you don't understand how these things are wired with a cutoff switch, in his case, his son was using it. He started having issues with it. I guess it shut off on him. He couldn't get it to start again. He took it back to his dad. His dad tried to start it just like normal. No good. Couldn't figure out why. And in this case, it was just a little bit low on oil. We topped it off with a little bit of oil. The switch went back to the good position, sending electricity to the motor, and Bob's your uncle. So, first thing you should check when you have a generator, if it's been working, check the oil level, see if it's low, see if that takes care of your problem. That's a normal, absolute situation. So whenever you have a generator, always have extra oil. People will have generators for SHTF, hurricanes, floods, whatever, and they won't think to have extra oil laying around. Then the generator doesn't run. They don't understand why. They figure it out, but they don't have any oil to put in there. So I hope this video helped. Please hit the subscribe button if you're still here. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.